it's Steve. I had a viewer's suggestion, and he suggested that it might be interesting to hear about some of my old memorable deer hunts. Different deer that maybe were a little special or the hunt was special. And I want to try one right now. And I'm going to call this one the bulletproof buck, even though I shot it with a bow. So, years back, I'm going to say early 1990s, I was hunting with my son, my oldest son, who was about 14 or so. He was hunting the same piece of property as me, probably about 100 yards from me. We were in tree stands. And it was a small piece of property in Hopewell, New Jersey. Now, for those of you that don't know about Hopewell, New Jersey, there's a lot of deer. I mean, a lot of deer. To the point where generally I'd come down to his stand and he'd be out of arrows some days. So, like I said, there's a lot of deer. So I'm up in my stand. It gets light. Nothing's really going on. About 8:30, nothing's still going on. Now this is first week in November. It was an off day. I don't know what it was, but deer weren't moving really good. Finally, I saw a doe or two, and they're walking on a little trail, down in front of me, and I let them pass, hoping a buck would be with them. No go. I heard a branch snap behind me, slightly above me. Now, there's a house not too far from me, so I didn't know whether it was somebody out there playing in the yard or not. I mean, remember, this is suburban New Jersey, for Christ's sake. Okay, here comes a group of does, followed by a buck. Okay, not that I was very picky at the time, but it was a half-decent buck. I was in my 30s, so you know what? I'm shooting this buck. Now, at the time, I was shooting a Matthews FX bow, which was one of Matthews' cheaper bows. Might have even been his cheapest bow at the time. Shooting beaming carbon arrows, and I was shooting your standard, what was it? It was a Muzzy, standard 3-blade Muzzy 100-grain broadhead. Nothing special. Let the deer come down to me. He was slightly below me. Everything was good. Deer was basically dead broadside. Put the pin on him, hit the trigger on the release. Knew I hit the deer. He leapt up in the air and took about 5 steps. And he started looking around. Well, the does got kind of nervous. And there I was, watching him, not really knowing what to do. Well, after it seemed like about an hour of trying to get an arrow back on the shelf of the rest and stuff like that, which was probably about 30 seconds, the deer took 2 steps and looked to the side. Now the deer's quartering away. I shot him again. This time he ran off. I'm shaking like a leaf by now. And I go to get my son. So I go down to the tree. He'd seen a bunch of deer. And I'm saying to him, I don't know what happened. I said, I shot the deer twice. He goes, twice? I said, yeah, twice. I said, the first time he just stood there. And he didn't stand there looking like he was shaking and going to fall over or anything. He just basically stood there. So we gave it a little bit of time, walked over to my stand, found my 2 arrows, both of them covered with blood. And the deer went about 75 yards. And we found him just laying there dead. He's like, oh man, Dad, that's a nice deer. I said, yeah, it's a nice deer, Steve. It's not a bad deer. He's like, man, that's like one of those monster buck video deers. And yeah, it kind of is, especially for around here where we're hunting, because there's not a ton of big deer. So we took some pictures of the deer. We took them over to my buddy's place of work, who actually got me the permission. He took some pictures of the deer. And when I look at the holes in the deer where the arrows hit, and I'll show you them both, for the life of me, I don't know why that deer lasted as long as it did on its feet. But long story short, he wound up in a truck, and we wound up taking him home, and he was delicious. Till next time, I'm Steve.